All right, to factor out the greatest common factor, I see two terms, 8x and 12. What do 8 and 12 have in common? Well, they're both even, so 2, but is there anything bigger than that? They both have a 4s factor, so if I factor out a 4, I'm left with 2x plus 3, nothing else I can factor out, so that was the greatest common factor. 2x plus 3d should be our answer choice. Question number 2, what is the factor of x squared plus 8x plus 12? Not a perfect square, so looking at factors of 12 that add up to 8, I know it's positive 6 and positive 2. So my factors should be x plus 6 and x plus 2. Those should work. All right, so which one matches? B should be the only one that works. All right, so the same question in number 3, but now we have two different trinomials, so factor them both. Right? But when I look at the first, x squared, 8x, 16, well, 16 is a perfect square. So I know right now it's a perfect square trinomial. X minus 4 and x minus 4, that would be my factors. Get my pen out. So that works for the first one, but when I look at the second one, not a perfect square, I know it's going to be two factors, x and x. And so what multiplies to negative 12 but adds to negative 1? Right, well, I know it's going to be a positive and a negative 3 and negative 4. Works. So which one do they have in common? Well, x minus 4. Cool. Let's keep working. All right, factor x squared minus 9. All right, two terms to see a negative. Perfect square should factor to x plus 3 and x minus 3. And so we're good to go. A, only one that works. Number 5, which of the following is a perfect square trinomial? All right, well, perfect square, but 4 times x doubled is not 3x. Right, perfect square, so 4 times x doubled, that does work. And C, let's check the rest of them. A, 3 times x doubled would be 6, doesn't work. 50 is not a perfect square, so doesn't work. C is the only one that works. All right, number 6, find the zeros, right, in the following. When I'm trying to find the zeros, I see that A is 1, so I'm going to choose the factor. What are the factors of negative 20 that add up to a negative 1? And so I know that's going to be a negative 5 and a positive 4. X minus 5, x plus 4. But remember, I am trying to solve, so it's equal to 0. X minus 5 equals 0. X plus 4 equals 0. So x has to be 5, or x has to be negative 4. Boom. A, the only one that works. I'm going to keep moving. Find all the solutions. All right, so I can choose the factor, or I can use the quadratic formula. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm going to try and factor just by trying to take out the greatest common factor first. And I can do that. If I divide everything by 2, that should be 4x minus 5 equals 0. We can use the quadratic formula. If you do, you should wind up with the same answers, right? And the reason why the factor, I just think it's easier to say, hey, what are the factors of negative 5 that add up to negative 4? X minus 5 and x plus 1. That should work. So once again, set factors equal to 0. 2 doesn't equal 0, so not a solution. X minus 5 does, so x equals 5, x plus 1 equals 0. So x is -1. All right, find all the solutions D and B, -1 and +5. But once again, if you use the quadratic formula, you should get the same answers. All right, and so in number 8, it is using the quadratic formula, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so if a is 3, b is -10, c is -13. We'll plug those numbers in. -10 plus or minus the square root of -10 squared minus 4. Come on, computer. Times 3. And c is -13 all over 2 times 3. Let's do some simplifying. 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus 4 times 3 would be 12, right? That's going to be a negative. 4 times 3 is 12. Times 13 is 156. All right, so 156, but negative and negative is going to make it a positive over 6. So 10 plus or minus the square root of 256. I think that's a really good number for us. If we take the square root of 256, we should get 16. All right, so 10, I'm going to go ahead and write it over here. 10 plus or minus the square root. Oh, I already took the square root. Sorry about that. Plus or minus 16 over 6. So remember, that is 2 math problems. So I got a little crazy mouse here. It should be 10 plus 16 over 6. Second math problem. Let me extend this down. I'm having the crazy mouse. 10 minus 16 over 6. And let's go and solve both. What is 26 over 6? All right, so 3.5, does that work? And 6 does go into 4 times, right? And 4 and 2, 6 is 1/3. Cool, that works. So positive. And then we look at 10 minus 16, that is a -6 over 6. Should be a -1. So a D works. Cool. Number 9, finding the discriminant. So I don't have to go through the whole thing. Just b squared minus 4ac. And so -10 squared minus 4 times 3 times -13. We just found out in the last one. That should be 256. That's a positive number. That means that we're going to have 2 real solutions. And so now, if x minus 2 squared equals 7, find the values of x that make the quadratic true. Let's try and solve. Right, I only have one x, so I can get x by itself. X minus 2, because I'm going to take the square root, is equal to plus or minus the square root of 7. 7 is not a perfect square, so I don't need to worry about it. So if I add 2 to both sides, x equals plus or minus, sorry, I want to write 2 first. 2 plus or minus the square root of 7. That's as simple as it gets. Don't try to make it any more confusing. Should be A. And the last answer here, what is the equation of the parabola that has a vertex of 3, 4 intersects the points at 1, 5? Right, just remember some things that we know about quadratics. And the vertex is 3, 4, so it's going to be somewhere up here. I don't know exactly, but I'm just drawing a rough sketch. 1, 5, more should open down. So the only graph that's going to open down should be D. Check it out, put those into the graphic calculator, and you should be fine.